You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. This is Sister Lavina Francis Pamet. I'm a Franciscan Sister of the Sacred Heart, and you are watching and listening to Dare to Love, which is a program for vocation awareness. And also, I'm the coordinator for the vocations ministries here in the Office of Religious in the Archdiocese of Chicago. Today, our guest is Sister Sharon Dillon, who is representing the Fireplace Community, which is an intentional community, and we will find out more from her. So at this point, the people who are keeping up with us and really is responsible for the production of the show is Javier and Brian. And in the background, he's gone right now, but usually I send stuff to him is Mike May. And the department headed by Vince Gerasoli, we're very grateful to them. Without them, we don't have this show. But of course, and more importantly, we're able to provide shows with very interesting content and meet different people all the time. Sister Sharon Dillon, welcome. This is her first time as a guest for Dare to Love. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me onto your podcast. I've never been on a podcast before.
So for our listeners, Sister Sharon will introduce herself, and if you can probably first of all tell us your community and where you are living currently in a community that's called the Fireplace.
Well, thank you again for inviting me to speak about my community, both my religious congregation and the intentional community that I'm now living in. I am a sister of St. Joseph of the Third Order of St. Francis. And yes, we use all of those initials. And I am currently residing in Hyde Park, Chicago, with a brand new intentional community called the Fireplace. And there are 5 of us who live here. And there are about 7 what we would call extended community members, and I'll explain more of that later.
So for now, before we talk about the Fireplace Community, which I think from the description that you have with the arts, I'm going to be doing a workshop there in a couple weeks, actually, August 13th.
Yes.
So your community itself, you're both Franciscan, Sister Julia Walsh, but your community is I think your mother house is in Milwaukee, is that right?
Stevens Point, Wisconsin, but we just sold it, believe it or not.
Okay.
So we are truly itinerant at this point.
Which is very Franciscan. So how did you meet your community, and what is your community's charism?
It's a great question. So believe it or not, I've been in my congregation for 35 years, and I was in my early 20s. I'll give you a little sense of my age. And I met my congregation while I was attending a retreat for women interested in religious life. And I did not want to attend. The parish priest noticed that I had been coming to Mass daily, and he said, "Oh, we send someone every year." And I said, "But I'm already discerning becoming a lay missionary with the Maryknolls." And he was like, "Well, just go for our sake. Like, we always send someone." And so I reluctantly went, but prior to that, people kept telling me I should be a religious. And I kept saying, oh, yeah, sure. When I get a letter from God, like set the impossible limit, correct? So, you have to be careful what you say about what you ask for.
Be careful what
So
you
I
pray
went,
for.
right. I went on the retreat, and all I needed to do was the final interview for the Marinole missionaries. And when I returned from the retreat, and during the retreat first, I met my community. And when I returned from the retreat, there was a letter waiting for me from the lay Maranoa missionaries saying, we really think you should take a year to discern a call to religious life. So there was my letter from God. And I had met my congregation, and they always say, you know your congregation when you identify with the history and it feels like home. And as soon as I read the history book and I met the sisters and I walked into the environment, I was like, oh my goodness, this is home. And within 6 months, and I also told God, it better be easy because I'm tired of all this work of trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. And that's, I think, part of the 20s anyhow. And I got my letter from God and I met my congregation, and everything else just fell into place. Like within 6 months, I was a candidate, paid off my school loans within a year as a candidate, and then everything just moved smoothly from then on.
So the words home, that things are just working out and falling into place. All those things are just sort of like those ingredients that when people talk about their vocation and their communities, I hear those words. I use those words myself. When I, we have options, but you have the vocation of religious sister, and within that vocation, there's a fit to a particular community, to a particular group, and it's not just a location. And I
It's
remember,
not a location at all.
No.
And I would say with my congregation, the irony was I've always kind of been on the edge of things. Like I've always been a person who asks a lot of questions. My novice minister gave me a book at the end of novitiate that said, "Blessed are they who ask questions." And we started laughing about it. And then at that point, I was also told that to read a document that had just been found, actually. And in the document that was found on a bishop's desk who had passed away, and it said, let it be known, it came from Rome, let it be known that this congregation had been founded in rebellion. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's so much my spirit.
There
It's why
you go.
I feel at home here.
Yeah.
And so as someone who has immersed herself into the third order charism, I would say the specific aspect of that charism that would define my congregation and why we struggle with identity always at every single chapter is ongoing conversion. We have a very large breadth of different expressions of spirituality and how to enter into that deeper relationship with God and Francis and Claire. And I believe that's because we embrace that sense of ongoing conversion, that's the primary core value of our charism. And not that the other three, menorahs, option for the poor, basically contemplation, poverty, they're all a part of us. But the one I would say that is most identifiable of our congregation is the ongoing conversion.
Right. And also as a third order,
yes,
Franciscan, that ongoing conversion, which is really an invitation to all people, is that metanoia, which is turning around. And that will also relate probably the second part when we talk a little bit more about the fireplace is dreaming and responding to what is emerging. But just out of curiosity, who are some of the models, not just from the community, but if you can think of people who have significantly modeled for you, essentially, that formed you or changed your life or really was significant in your life?
Wow, that's a big question. The persons I reflected on that question, and the two persons that came to me in prayer are now both deceased. One, Joan, who was a member of my congregation when I entered, and she was what we call a companion sister. So when someone joins, we give them a companion sister whose only role is to companion them throughout the whole formation process. So it's someone who's not in an evaluative role, but just someone to walk with them and help them navigate all the different ins and outs of religious life. And you don't necessarily have to live with the companion sister, but I did live with Joan. And as I made my first profession of vows, she chose to leave the congregation. And we remained friends. So I always told her she was a extended member of our congregation. It was funny that I would just use those words for us at the Fireplace, that she had our charism, she lived our charism, and for a brief period of time it was within the congregation, and then she lived it, I think, better after she left the congregation. And as you said, metanoia, ongoing conversion is something, if you pay attention to that within your life, then it's never going to be stagnant, right? You're always going to be changing.
Yeah.
So Joan was a witness of that for me, and she became my very, very best and closest friend, and died of breast cancer after a long battle. But it was beautiful. I got to give the homily at her wedding. I still keep in touch with her husband to find out how he's doing. And she highly influenced me because she was so rooted in prayer. And that just spoke to me that she never looked at things through the lens of giving up. She always looked at things as, there's something more. There's something else God is calling me to.
That's out of deep faith, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and especially as I watched her struggle with cancer and was there for her throughout that entire struggle, she never gave up. She just kept living her life as best as she could. And then the other person would be Sister Frances Therese was Nikki from my congregation, who's kind of like an icon in the Franciscan world. She was on the writing committee of the very first rule of life called Go to My Brethren, which of course was before inclusive language. And Franny recognized that I had a deep passion for everything Franciscan, and she just kind of took me by her side and helped me navigate the Franciscan world beyond our congregation. So I learned about the TOR charism in the bigger, broader sense. I learned about the Franciscan Federation, of which, I had been an executive director for a number of years. I learned about the IFC in the international world of the Franciscans. And then it's just that she helped me to read the best books and know which ones were relevant to our time and which ones had passed their time, and also encouraged me to write. So I've had some written pieces about the Franciscan world. And so I was one of the few people, because our sisters were educated in the model of the Jesuits, even though we had the third order life.
Yeah.
It was the Jesuits, right, who were teaching the Franciscans at the time. And
that's great. Yeah. So, listening to you about the two influences, one is like your anchor, and the anchor really is like another symbol for faith, that anchors you. And another one is the explorer, kind of like,
Right.
expanding your world. So this is wonderful models. We've come to our first break, and so we will come back and talk a little bit more about the Fireplace Community and how it was founded, and maybe a little bit more of your ministry in the education area.
Sounds good.
So we'll be
All right.
back.
All right.
What are you calling me to be? I listen to my heart, I can hear you whisper, asking me lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God, I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.
Catholic Charity's Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors, so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities offers a wide variety of volunteer opportunities to those who want to share their time and help us serve people in need. Whether it's stocking the shelves of our food pantries, helping refugees learn the English language, tutoring school-aged children, becoming a mentor to young adults, sorting clothes in our clothing rooms, serving hot meals to those who are facing homelessness, or delivering meals and making cards to lift the spirits of our homebound seniors, we are deeply grateful to all those who want to join in our mission of mercy. Volunteer opportunities are updated weekly for people of all ages at ccofchicagovolunteer.com, or just call us at 312-655-7053. That's 312-655-7053. Thank you for helping us follow Jesus' call to serve our neighbors in need.
Find a home in you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God, I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.
And we are back. This is Dare to Love show. My name is Sister Lavina Pamet, and I am the coordinator of Religious Vocations Ministries here in the Office of Religious Archdiocese of Chicago. And today, Sister Sharon Dillon, who is with the Fireplace Community, an intentional community in Hyde Park, Chicago, is here with us. Sister Sharon, welcome back. And we have been talking about your vocation story a little bit and two models that significantly has influenced your life. And the two things that we're talking about were anchor for the faith, for the rootedness, and keeping the faith and also hope which is so important. It's such a great thing to hold on to, especially when we have one crisis after another. And then another person, Sister Frances Therese, who, Joan was the other one, Sister Frances Therese, who pretty much showed you the world. I know, like, imagine, when, if you've seen the movie Aladdin and showing the princess, like, there's a whole new world out there. So you can't just stay here. And, especially like coming out of the quarantine, people are still, and, with safety in question, just stepping out of our homes. We don't know what's going to be out there, but the world is out there and engagement is the key. So now we're turning our conversation to the Fireplace Community, how it was founded, the dream that kept on, because the questioning heart and mind for you is always exploring how you can help and respond to a world and its needs with that ongoing conversion. So tell us all about the Fireplace Community, how you founded it, your co-founder, who's sponsoring it, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow, that's a lot to answer in a short amount of time. So the Fireplace had been a very quiet dream inside of me, but I didn't know it until I read this proposal that Sister Julia Walsh, who is a Franciscan sister of perpetual adoration, had put pen to paper. And when I read the proposal, my whole being just started shaking, because I was just like, oh my God, this is where I'm being led to. And I didn't even have any conversation yet with anyone except Julia. And there was a small group of us who started in the discernment process with her to see where this would go. And within a few months, it was very clear it was going to be Julia and I that were going to start this. And we were only able to do so because of a great care and concern of a committee, an advisory group from her congregation, and a grant from her leadership team. So we now have a 2-year grant. We're in the beginning into the 2nd year. But it was the spirit that they say, keeps it going, because that's what we try to live in, is the spirit. There is such a spiritual hunger for people right now. And because of COVID and people not really flocking back to the churches, there is a sense of, I need someplace safe and someplace that's healthy. Those are the things that we were really looking for, and someplace that's accepting of who I am, my entire being, that allows me to worship in whatever way I want. And the Fireplace, it's hard to believe we are only a year old. And so we had put out an application. Those pictures of the snowstorm, Julia moved on the weekend of Valentine's Day. And that's when all that snow hit us last year. And I helped her move in that snowstorm into the house. So we have the pictures of the house with all that snow around us. But we put an application out, a very lengthy process, because we wanted to make sure that we were getting solid people who had a commitment to intentional community, and who got the sense of spirituality, of arts, of activism. And that's exactly what we're about.
And
right?
you have 3 other people living with you?
We have 3 lovely young women who are all in their 20s. And I'll tell you, it's so exciting to be with them. Like, their names are Leslie, Cassidy, and Abby. And that's the order that they came to us.
And you learned from them some new stuff, right?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much from them every single day. They all came to us from living in an intentional congregation, not in intentional community and volunteer service before they joined us. So they are continually teaching me how intentional life in community is different than living religious life. I don't know how else to explain that caveat, but there is a difference.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, you learned the word zine. What is that? What's TikTok?
Here's Abby's zine. I'll hold it up there. So a zine is a little pamphlet. I never even knew what a zine was. And so she actually did a little friendly thing for everyone to do a zine. And she did a zine on the Fireplace. And so basically the Fireplace is about fueling and sustaining change makers and artists and activists. It's not a temporary housing place, but it's a place for people to come and restore their soul and their spirit and their creativity and anything that where they find a nice little quiet place in the city. It's hard that we have this little haven. We rent this beautiful old mansion without central air from the SVDs, and they have been very supportive. It used to be one of their formation houses. So it's a big old mansion, has 8 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms.
Sign me up now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get to see it shortly.
Okay, we have like 2.5 minutes. So what would you what message would you like to put out there about the Fireplace, and also as inspiration to other people to be part of it?
I would say that there's a place for everybody. Like, come and be in relationship. Come and be with us. Come visit us. Come to one of our programs. Go to events and check out what we have coming up. We have you, Sister Lavina, coming and doing a workshop for basket weaving, which is a spiritual creative experience. We have something coming up on St. Clair, and it's going to be writing letters to Claire across time. We just had the Melody Gee here, who is an artist, a poet, and we had Don Sweeney was here. I mean, we just have all these wonderful things going on. It's hard to believe we are only a year old.
And people can come in and sign up for like a retreat, right? If they want a place.
One of the things we've learned, though, that we do need to do a little better job with just screening in general, not that we want to say no to people, but we need to know the number of people who are coming and So you need to sign up, and then we need to have a conversation with you before you just come on in, because we do live here. We all work full-time jobs, and we want to make sure it's a welcoming, hospitable space that you can come to.
You also have, you want to leave us with a blessing or prayer, and even perhaps a song with a message.
Right. So as you were talking, I all of a sudden opened up this prayer book called Daily Prayers for Busy People, because I know we're all very busy. And believe it or not, I opened it right up to Second Tuesday, right? So I thought, well, I guess this is what God is calling me to pray for us. So just a quiet sense of a moment. God, my friend, my beloved, I offer you this day. Let all my prayer, my work, joy, suffering, join with the lives offered to you by the whole of the people of God, and especially with our great Eucharistic celebration, Jesus, our brother. Let your Spirit be with me and those in need today. I ask your loving concern today for all those who are seeking spirituality, who are afraid, who are hungry, who are without. Remind me throughout the day that I am not alone, and that you are there for others. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sister Sharon. And for those who want to contact the Fireplace, it's thefireplacecommunity.org. And if people want to write to you, thefireplacecommunity@gmail.com. So no spaces. And this is Sharon. Thank you so much. I hope people will be able to be part of this community, and hopefully we can, when I get to your place, hopefully we can cover more of what you all do. It looks like you have a lot of events coming up. Thank you.
We do.
Blessings, everyone.
Thank you for the invite.
And this comes on every first Thursday of the month. Blessings.
Lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God. I I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.